Everybody, welcome back to my channel for all things Beatles, music, movies, and physical media. If you like what you see, please click subscribe, and if you like this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Today I'm going to be talking about the new 4K UHD Blu Ray disc of Spielberg's Schindler's List. This is one of my favorite films, and that's kind of a weird thing to say when it comes to this film. It's definitely in my top 10, I should say. I liked Spielberg. In high school and the early 90s, I liked Spielberg. I liked him. But I was like, could he do a serious dramatic film? Granted, The Color Purple, that honestly is, that's no small potatoes right there, and he proved how he could handle actors in that film. Everybody does a great performance in that film. But even with that, I kept saying I'm more impressed with the cinematography. And around the time he announced this film, I was slightly cynical. Spielberg can do great, blockbusters and films audiences actually love. But I don't see him doing a film that takes place during the Holocaust. Now, I didn't know much about Oskar Schindler. I didn't know too much about this story. And how cynical I was, I saw Jurassic Park that summer. That was a Spielberg year, 1993. 1-2 punch. Jurassic Park, one of the biggest financial successes of all time, and Schindler's List. And I liked Jurassic Park. I liked it, but as I started to know more about the film, as they started saying it's handheld cameras and it's in black and white, I started to get excited. So I saw it opening weekend of 1993. I believe I saw it on a Friday when it came out. They did a staggered release, a platform release. In Chicago, and I think in New York, LA, a lot of the major cities, they had exclusive engagements. And in Chicago, it was at the Cineplex Odeon Theater at Water Tower Place. If there's any Chicagoans out there, it's no longer at Water Tower Place. After reading Roger Ebert's review that morning, also reading Gene Siskel's review that morning, and hearing everything else about it, I was excited to see Spielberg tackle something different. But I didn't know how he was going to get me on an emotional level. The story of Oskar Schindler, I didn't know that much about. But now I wanted to know about his story and what he did and why he did it and how he did it. Because what he did was a noble thing. He did something when people weren't doing anything. And the way Spielberg shows a lot of the things concerning the Holocaust, it's not just simple grittiness. In Schindler, when somebody gets shot in the head, it's just cameras there, somebody gets shot, boom. That's what made it shocking. That's why I kept on turning away the first time during the liquidation of the Krakow ghetto sequence. I was so affected by it that I was angry. Not at the film, but at certain things that were going through my mind about the film, about what happened, about why it was allowed to happen, and everything like that. These questions came to my mind, and it made me angry. And I remember Spielberg saying that when he shot the scene in Auschwitz, where Oskar Schindler has to rescue his workers because the train was mistakenly rerouted to Auschwitz as opposed to his weapons factory in Czechoslovakia. Spielberg said that he wasn't angry, he wasn't sad. There was no sorrow that came over him. He was angry. And I think when all is said and done, you could feel that anger on the screen. But another thing happened to me with Spielberg. I went back and reevaluated over the next couple of weeks and months, reevaluated all of his other films. And I had basically all of them on VHS, scouting used stores back then or video store liquidation sales. I happened to have practically all of them on VHS. horribly panned and scanned. But I went back and watched Empire of the Sun, which was the closest to Schindler, and I had a major reevaluation. I'm like, this guy is damn good. And he snuck up right under Scorsese for me. So he and Spielberg are right there for me as far as a cinematic obsession. Yes, there's a couple Spielberg films I don't watch that much. I really don't watch Hook that much. And I found out neither does he. He really doesn't like Hook. So what of this new 4K transfer? Now this just got a brief theatrical run in December. I saw it on December 8th at the Harkins Cine One Theater in Goodyear, Arizona. And Cine One is an 80-foot screen and Dolby Atmos sound. The new 4K transfer, seeing that on the big screen. Now, first off, that's the way to see this film. Seeing it on a big screen with people around you where you're not in the comfort of your own home. The reaction was still the same. I sometimes don't have that reaction at home because there's a lot of other distractions at home. But also the performances are still great. Liam Neeson as Oscar Schindler, Ralph Fiennes as Amon Gut, the quote-unquote bad guy, Ben Kingsley as Itzhak Stern, Embeth Davitz, I think I'm pronouncing her name right, as Helen Hirsch. They're all, the performances still hold up. How does this transfer to home now? This is Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision HDR. And I have a 4K UHD player that has Dolby Vision, and our television is Dolby Vision compatible as well. This is the closest it has looked to the way I remember seeing it projected on film when it first came out. Every subsequent edition, VHS, I never saw it on Laserdisc, every DVD, and the 2013 Blu Ray is included in here as well, and that's a damn good Blu Ray. It's not small potatoes. Although I wish they would have included the new 4K transfer on a Blu Ray as well. That's one of the issues I have with 4K UHD. But this is totally silver. The whites are white, the blacks are black, very contrasty black and white, stark. But yet I always loved the way Janusz Kaminski photographed this. The world of the SS, when Oskar Schindler goes into the nightclub at the beginning, there's beautiful tracking shots and this beautifully lit black and white, straight out of a 1940s Hollywood film, beautiful black and white. Then the next cut after that scene is Nazi soldiers marching in the streets of Krakow, and a rabbi getting his hair cut off. There, handheld camera, sloppy camera movement, kind of grainy. The way he contrasts the two worlds really comes out in this transfer. And the interesting thing about Schindler's List, from a photographic point of view, is that Spielberg shot it on black and white film. But as everybody knows, there are some color sequences in it. There's the opening title scene of the family at prayer. There's the girl in the red coat. All of that was done on color film. And all of that had to be spliced by hand in black and white. If anybody subscribes to HomeTheaterForum.com, this was just reviewed by Todd Irwin, and he was a THX theater supervisor at the time, which meant that he would have to go check out the THX certified theaters and make sure that they're okay. And he described that the film basically came with those scenes missing, and they had to be manually spliced in by the projectionist, because Spielberg wanted that on black and white film, on color film rather. So black and white on color film tends to look kind of blue. So those scenes always stood out when you saw them on film, and even on Blu-ray and DVD. Whenever it cut to the shots of the girl in the red coat, where everything is black and white around her except her red coat, it had kind of a bluish look around her. Here, this is a seamless transfer, a nice seamless transfer on there. And I was a bit concerned with Dolby Vision, 4K Dolby Vision HDR. I was like, how's this going to look in black and white? Well, the black and white scenes are beautiful, and this makes a strong case for possibly more black and white. But the few color moments, I was a bit worried that the red coat on the girl, the famous red coat on the girl, was going to be a bright red, which can be a problem with HDR at times. No, the same muted red color it's always been. Very happy about that. The Dolby Atmos sound, I don't have a Dolby Atmos system. It's a Dolby True HD system, but Atmos is True HD compatible. Like I said, you are enveloped by the sound, and it's just as horrifying as what you're seeing on the screen. This is a very special film and a very special transfer. And it's a film that even my wife says, how could you watch this film? It's so sad and depressing and violent. Well, one, because I think it's a powerful story. Two, I always like to see how he did it. And three, I like to be reminded that there are people who do good in the face of hate sometimes. Every year when I became a film goer in high school, kind of a cinephile, and I'm watching movies, from '89, there's always been a film that caught my attention that went and blew me away. In '89, it was Oliver Stone's Born on the 4th of July, when I saw it in 70mm. In '90, it was Scorsese and Goodfellas. '91, it was Oliver Stone again and JFK. '92, it was Spike Lee and Malcolm X. '93, we've now upped it to 3 movies that blew me away. Schindler's List, Scorsese's The Age of Innocence, and Robert Altman's Shortcuts. 3 of my favorite filmmakers, all in my top 10. If you are a fan of Spielberg and a fan of cinema, and you have a 4K player, you need to get this. This is a must-have in anybody's collection. And that is my take on this. Thank you all so very much. Leave me some comments below, and keep them professional as always. And until we meet again.